This is a video from section 8.3. The directions say to find the centroid of the region bounded by the given curves. In problem 30, we are given y equals 2 minus x squared and y equals x. And so I have the graph of y equals 2 minus x squared in black, and I have the graph of y equals x in blue. And I want to find the centroid of that shaded region. Now, what I'm going to do first is set 2 minus x squared equal to x, because I want to find the limits for the integral, for each of the integrals. And so from here, we can say x squared plus x minus 2 equals 0. If I factor, I get x plus 2 times x minus 1 is equal to 0. So x is negative 2 or x is 1. Now, I need to find the area between the two curves. And so when I look at my representative rectangle here, notice that the top function is y equals 2 minus x squared, and the bottom function is y equals x. And so I get the integral from negative 2 to 1 of 2 minus x squared minus x dx, which is 2x minus 1/3 x cubed minus 1/2 x squared, evaluated from negative 2 up to 1. If I replace x with 1, I get 2 minus 1/3 minus 1/2. If I replace x with negative 2, I get negative 4 plus 8/3 minus 2. And then I want to subtract those results down here. Okay. And then I went ahead and subtracted those results, and I ended up with 9/2 for the area. And what that tells me is that the mass is 9/2 rho, where rho is the density. Remember, mass is density times area. Now from here, we want to find the moment about the x-axis, which I label m sub x. And so that's going to be 1/2 rho times the integral from negative 2 to 1 of the top function squared minus the bottom function squared dx. So in other words, it's 1/2 rho times the integral from negative 2 to 1 of 2 minus x squared raised to the second minus x squared dx, which is 1/2 rho times the integral from negative 2 to 1 of 4 minus 4x squared plus x to the 4th minus x squared. Now, one thing to keep a note of here is that we can write this as 1/2 rho times the integral from negative 2 to 1 of 4 minus 5x squared plus x to the 4th dx. And so this is 1/2 rho times the quantity 4x minus 5/3 x cubed plus 1/5 x to the 5th, evaluated from negative 2 to 1. So this is 1/2 rho times the quantity 4 minus 5/3 plus 1/5 minus the quantity negative 8 plus 40/3 minus 32/5. So if you notice, I replaced x with 1, and that's how I got 4 minus 5/3 plus 1/5. And then I replaced x with negative 2, and that's how I got negative 8 plus 40/3 minus 32/5, and then I subtracted those quantities. And then, of course, the LCD is 15, and I got a common denominator accordingly. And so I get 1/2 rho times the quantity 60 over 15 minus 25 over 15 plus 3 over 15 minus the quantity negative 1/20 plus 200 minus 96 15. And then when I go to simplify, I claim that I get 9/5 rho. Now, getting the moment about the y-axis, in my opinion, is a little easier. That's going to be -2, the integral from -2 to 1 of x times 2 minus x squared minus x. Okay? And then from here, I'm going to distribute the x to each term within the parentheses here. And then I get rho times the integral from -2 to 1 of 2x minus x cubed minus x squared dx, which is rho times x squared minus 1/4 x to the 4th minus 1/3 x cubed evaluated from -2 to 1. And then I replace x with 1 and x with -2, right? And then I'm subtracting those quantities. And so if you notice, I get rho times the quantity, right? 1 minus 1/4 minus 1/3 minus the quantity 4 minus 4 plus 8/3. And then when I did my calculation, I get -9/4 rho. And then this is the home stretch. X bar is m sub y over m, which is equal to -1/2. Y bar is m sub x over m, which is equal to 2/5. And so my center will ultimately be the ordered pair -1/2, 2/5. And if we look back, if I go -1/2, 2/5, that's going to land me, somewhere over here. So in quadrant 2, and that's not unreasonable. If we got a point somewhere outside the region, then we would have to relook at this. So, okay, that'll conclude this video for section 8.3, and we looked at problem 30. Thank you.